We're getting the tomatoes tied this morning for the first time, and I'm gonna show you how we do it. It's a little slow right here at first when the tomatoes are little, because you gotta, sometimes they're kind of leaning over and they're not all exactly the same height, and you got to get the string kind of right in the place where it's supposed to be. When the tomatoes are bigger, it goes faster, the tying does, and you'll be able to see that later. All right, what you want to do is you want to put the string close to the top of the plant, about right there. And what they do is they wrap around the stake, pull the string tight, go to the next one, wrap it around, and then they come back the other direction, so you'll have two strings, and it holds that plant up like this. And as the plants get bigger, then we just keep doing the same thing. Normally it's about 5 times. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 6. It just kind of depends. Once they really take off growing, which you can tell they've grown, we'll do it about once every 7 to 10 days probably. And then the last string will be up here at the top of the stake right here. And that special nylon tomato string is strong. I mean, it doesn't hardly ever break. You know, we'll do everything with the stake the same way. The bell peppers only need usually a couple of strings. The eggplant will need 4 or 5. Cucumbers will need 4 or 5. You can tell these are the bell peppers. You can tell they're starting to grow too. I watched the forecast this morning for the rest of April, which who knows how correct that is, but they're talking about cooler than normal temperatures for the remainder of April, which usually means colder nights and obviously a little colder in the day. So that means things probably won't grow quite as fast, but things are growing. And like I said in the last video, when you hit 60 degrees at night for a low temperature or above, that's when things really start taking off. All right, here's our watermelon plant, the red watermelon. You know, believe it or not, it won't be very long at all before those vines are right on the edge of that plastic. Remember in the last video I told you we'd come back in 21 days and put out some more herbicide. We'll have to do it before, you know, the vines get over here. We want to do it when they're about right here at the last minute if we can. All right, you see you got these two strings real tight, holding that plant straight up. See, the tomato string is in that cardboard box that straps on your belt, and it just feeds right out. I think it's like 6,000 feet or so in one box. You know, they never have to cut the string. Just go down, we go down to that middle water hose and turn around and come back, and then just cut it when they get to the end. This right here is a Roadster variety tomato. And if you can see right here by my finger, these are just about to be blooms pretty soon. And that's pretty early, but that's a characteristic of Roadster. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to try it. You know, if we plant our Amelia and our Roadster at the same time, then theoretically, you know, the peak harvest won't necessarily be at the same time between the two of them, which is good. So we'll see how all the timing works out, but definitely early. Usually the Amelias will bloom probably around the 1st of May, but it's looking like these may be about a week before that. One thing I don't think I've mentioned since we started these videos on the tomatoes is their determinate variety, which means they grow to a certain size and stop. You know, you got your indeterminate, which will just keep growing and growing and growing, and you got your determinate. You know, they'll stop about the height of the stakes and they won't get any taller. A lot of your varieties you'll get at like your feed store, your lawn and garden type store. A lot of them will be indeterminate. You know, they'll just keep growing and growing height wise. You know, we don't want that. We want them to get a certain size and stop. So that's what a determinate is. Now, we showed you the peas coming up a little bit in the last video, but they're really came up nice. It looked like all of them just about came up, which is good. You know, we'll just have to wait and see on how the herbicide worked. We got the rain, like I told you, about 8.5 days after we put out the chemicals, so hopefully it works. If not, we're gonna have to do lots of hoeing. All right, it's Monday, April the 24th. We're planting our second tomatoes today. I think it's a little over 3 weeks from when we planted the first ones. So this will be the last tomato planting. We just plant 2. We'll plant the same amount now as we did the first time. And I'll show you the size difference on the tomatoes. Obviously, these are the ones we've just now planting. You know, they're small. All right, these are the first ones that we planted. You can tell by my hand, again, that they're a lot bigger. They've got a good stem stalk there in the middle, good size, thickening up, good color, good leaf coverage. So they're doing what they're supposed to do. They've got a good head start on the ones we're planting now, which is what we want. It's cool today. Like I mentioned earlier, it's gonna be cool all week, but at least we got some sun, and we may get some rain in the middle of the week, but it's pretty today. A little bit windy. All right, we're back getting our peas planted. It's Tuesday, the 25th of April. It was originally supposed to be raining today, and they've kind of backed it off and changed it to a Wednesday night. So it's a little bit sticky. I tried it yesterday and it was too sticky. I kind of made a little bit of a mess, but we're getting it planted this morning, and we're fixing to switch over and plant some zipper creams here in a minute also. And I'll get it sprayed hopefully maybe in the morning. This will be the second planting of purple hulls and the first planting of zipper creams. We don't plant a lot of zipper creams, but it's enough to just kind of give us something different. People like them. 90% of the people are going to choose the purple hulls, but it's something different, and people look forward to them. People that like them love them. So zipper creams are a nice extra alternative to the purple hulls. All right, when we get ready to switch seed from the purple hull to the zipper creams, we got to take all the hoppers off, clean out all the seed. That way you get all the purple hulls out of there. We've already dumped them, and there's always a little bit left right here. All right, check and make sure there's not any right here. That's it. We'll put it back together and put the hopper back on. It takes me about 20 minutes or so to dump all the hoppers, and Now take the plates off, dump that out, get all the seed, put it back, flip them around. All right, I'd already brought the empty sacks out here with my truck and left them in some buckets. So we dumped the purple hull seed back in here and got the zipper cream seed here that we're fixing to put in. It's a bigger pea. It's a cream crowder. We call them zipper creams, but they're a cream crowder. So they're a cream pea, but shaped like a crowder, so they're bigger. Changing those hoppers out is something I got to do a lot, and I don't like doing it either, but it's just one of those tedious things you have to do. We'll have to do it again as soon as we get through here with the zipper creams. When we get back to the shop, we'll have to clean out the seed. I don't ever leave the seed in there. Moisture and all will build up in those hoppers and make that seed stick together if you leave it in there. So we're constantly having to clean out those hoppers all the time. Okay, we're through planting, and I decided to come back with the roller again after we planted, just to kind of firm that seed bed up. There's some places where it's sticky on the end, and I don't know that the seed furrow closed like it's supposed to be, so I think this will help. We had to do this last year on this same field right here, and it worked good. This area right in here is the lower end, and it's kind of a different soil type too, and that's what was giving me a little trouble waiting for it to dry out. But we'll roll it good, and I think it'll be in good shape. Getting my okra ground ready right now before we start transplanting, probably next week. So I'm gonna show you what I'm doing right now. Got my older 1086 International with my little 2-row do-all. When we're not working in a real big area, we just use the 2-row do-all. And this little thing works good. See, that thing spins right there. Just does 2 rows at a time. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do the do-all, put out some pre-emerge. Hopefully it'll rain on it Wednesday night. And then we'll come back and transplant straight in the dirt our okra plants. So I don't want that chemical sitting on top of the ground when we punch the hole to make the hole for the plant, so we want it already activated. So once we put out the chemical, we will not plant it until after it rains on it. So I usually do this about a week or so ahead of time before we start planting the okra. I think the little okra plants will probably be ready next week. It's Wednesday morning, and I heard some thunder about 5 o'clock this morning. I jumped up and looked at the radar and saw that there was some rain right here close by. So I'm out here on the turn row trying to get my peas sprayed before the ground gets too sticky. I think the big rain is tonight, but I didn't want it to rain enough this morning that it was going to make it too messy for me to spray. So it doesn't hurt if you're spraying while it's sprinkling, if you're using a pre-emerge, you know, because it's just going to get activated in, as long as you don't have anything in there that you're trying to contact kill on any type of weeds or anything, which I don't. So hopefully I can get it done here before it rains too much. And it may not do much, but it is thundering and it is sprinkling. We got it done. It's sprinkled the whole time, but that's it. So the ground's not really bad at all, so I didn't make any kind of mess. So we got it done. That's the main thing. All right, today the guys are staking the tomatoes, the second tomatoes. We put the chemical in the hole yesterday for the southern blight like we did on the first tomatoes. We've already showed you that in one of the earlier videos. Trying to get them staked today. All right, last night we got about 1.5 inches of rain. No severe weather, which is good. So we ought to have good activation on our chemicals on the okra and the second peas. So that's good. And we've got a pretty good forecast coming up. It's going to warm up. It has really been cool, almost downright cold in the mornings this week. But it's going to warm up, and I think we're going to get a good bit of sunshine next week, so that's good because we need it. Right now I'm planting the cucumbers in the greenhouse. We planted 2 plantings of cucumbers, and we're going to try some pickling cucumbers for the first time this year. I've never done it. I don't know how they're going to do, but we're going to try it. That's probably one of the most things we get asked about that we do not have. So thought I'd try some and see. So today we're planting our first planting of the regular slicer cucumbers. The variety is Diamondback, and the variety of pickling cucumbers is Supermax. You can see the seed here. It looks almost exactly to like a cantaloupe seed. If you put them side by side, you probably couldn't tell the difference. Both kind of cucumbers look the same. Probably going to move the cantaloupes out maybe today. I'd like to get them planted in the next day or two. They're getting just about ready. These will be the second cantaloupes. We'll plant them first, and then hopefully next week we'll plant the okra and the second watermelons. All right, it may not look like much, but that's 500 pickling cucumbers and 500 regular cucumbers. We won't plant all the pickling cucumbers. I'll just have some extras, but I don't want to have too many of them since I had never planted them before, but we'll plant probably at least half of them. And some of you may be wondering, why plant the cucumbers now instead of earlier or later, and why have you not even planted the squash, or why plant the okra when you did? Well, we try to have everything about ready at the same time. Now, that doesn't happen, but a lot of times we can get it pretty close, especially if we don't have any setbacks, any kind of replanting, which so far we have not. Even though it's been colder this week, things will catch up hopefully when it warms up. But it's taken a lot of years to figure out kind of the planting schedule. It's all trial and error. If I have something ready too early and I'm not open to the public, I don't have anything to do with it. So I don't want something ready too early, if that makes sense. Sometimes when the peaches get ready early and we don't have anything else ready, we'll have to open up, but normally that does not happen. So we'll see. It's a little different every year, and it's just a lot of timing issues, and obviously I can't do much about it other than control when I plant, and sometimes you have to adjust from year to year. So we're always learning, always adjusting, trying to fine tune it. One thing that's always going to be last is the watermelons. They're never ready when everything else is, and that's okay. People understand that, but I like to have as much of a variety as I can when we open. Friday, April the 28th, we're back on the hole puncher, and we're going to get our second cantaloupes planted later today. The guys are finishing up the tomato stakes right now. We didn't get through with those other day before it started raining. So that's the plan for today. We're going to get the third cantaloupes planted in the greenhouse tomorrow, going to be kind of a gloomy day tomorrow, but after that the weather looks really nice, so I hope so, because we've got lots to do. These are our first cantaloupes right next to them. We'll plant 3 different plantings of cantaloupes on the plastic, and we plant 2 different plantings of red watermelons on the plastic and 1 planting of yellow on the plastic. After we get through planting everything on the plastic, we'll switch to our late watermelons on bare ground that we transplant, and we'll just do 1 big planting of red, yellow, and cantaloupes on that. That'll be later. We usually plant those around the end of May. All right, I'm getting ready to do my weekly spraying. I pretty much do everything on the plastic at 7 days, and I just stick to the 7-day schedule. The peaches can go longer, 10, maybe 14 if we don't have any rain, but I like to stick to 7 days on all the plastic crops. So that's what I'm doing, fungicide and insecticide today. We're probably gonna wrap up the video here. We got a lot to do next week, a lot of planting. We've already talked about that, the okra, the second watermelons. We're gonna get the second cantaloupes planted today. Pretty soon we're gonna have to prune the suckers on the tomatoes. We'll show you that. That'll be something new. Got to get my next pea ground ready. It's just constantly plenty to do. So looking forward to next week and the dry weather. See y'all next time.